Ooh, this person reading it is so creepy. I love it. Hey, welcome to On Writing. If you're new here, my name is Megan. I'm a professional writer and writing coach, and I love to talk about all parts of the writing process and analyze writing in songs, TV shows, movies, and poems. Today, in honor of the spooky season, we are going to be looking at a poem by Edgar Allan Poe. A poem. Everyone's going to unsubscribe. Edgar Allan Poe was a poet in the early to mid 1800s. He died in 1849, and he's best known for works like The Raven, The Telltale Heart, and the one we're looking at today, which is a poem called Annabelle Lee. So let me pull it up. Hold, please.
It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee.
Ooh, this person reading it is so creepy. I love it. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. So Poe's getting us set up right now with the when, the where, and the who. Many, many year ago in a kingdom by the sea, a maiden lived there named Annabelle Lee. So what is he really saying? First of all, he's addressing you, the reader. So he's using second person point of view, which just pulls us right in. And I don't know, it's a little creepy that a maiden there lived whom you may know. So kind of a casual, conversational way of bringing the reader right into the poem. Like, you've probably heard of her. It might tell us a little bit about Annabelle as well.
And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
I love that phrase. It's just beautiful. And it also shows us immediately his relationship to her. And I mean, maybe it's just this guy's voice, but it already feels sad. We know it's going to be something sad or awful because it's Poe, but the fact that he's telling a story about something that happened many, many years ago, and it was someone who loved him, who we're assuming he loved also, you just know this is not going in a good direction. What is that reminding me of? Also, sorry about the lovely sun flare. It can't be stopped. We're just going to have to embrace it. Embrace the sunshine. Oh, I know what this line reminds me of. That song by David Bowie. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Did Bowie pull that from Poe? I bet he did. All right.
I was a child, and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee.
So what is he doing here? We talk about this all the time. Anaphora! It's an actual example from a real poem, not a song. This is great. Okay, so Poe is using this poetic device, this literary device called anaphora, which is when you repeat certain lines for emphasis, and typically you repeat them at the beginning of a stanza, but you can repeat them at the end of a stanza or in the middle, but it's got to be the same line or sometimes the same word. A good example of this that we're all familiar with is Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Had a Dream speech. I had a dream, I had a dream. He repeats that phrase over and over. We get it in Annabelle Lee as well when Poe says, in this kingdom by the sea, or in a kingdom by the sea. And then we also get repetition in the word love. Her only thought was to love and be loved by me. We loved with a love that was more than love. I mean, good grief. All right, they love each other. We got it, okay. But repetition, again, you always want to just pay attention because it's usually intentional. Unless it's unintentional, and then you want to delete it because we don't want unintentional repetition. He also says, I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. Kingdom is a very specific word. It kind of gives it a more fantastical feel, but I was a child and she was a child. So they were young. Maybe there's an innocence there, a purity there.
With a love that the winged seraphs in heaven coveted her and me.
So they loved with a love that was more than love, with love. That's with a love that was, we loved with a love that was more than love, with love. I mean, dang. That's a lot of times to repeat that word. But the seraphs in heaven, so he's referring to angels, coveted their love. So that's interesting.
And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee.
Excuse me? I haven't read this poem in a long time. This was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, there he is repeating that again, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabelle Lee. So this was the reason. What is this referring to? This refers back to the seraphs coveting the love that they have. Because they coveted, a wind blew out of a cloud, again, cloud close to heaven, coming from the seraphs up there, a wind blew out of the cloud and chilled her. So it makes me think back then, if you catch a chill, you're catching a cold, you're going to get sick, and and it was a lot easier to die from that, or even chilling her as in it kills her because now she is cold. She is no longer warm and alive. Does that make sense? Okay.
So that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea.
And then we get more cause and effect. So the angels coveting their love caused them to blow a wind out of a cloud and chill Annabelle, and that caused her high-born kinsman to come and take her away from the narrator. And her high-born kinsman, so I think I've been thinking about the idea of a kingdom by the sea. Why isn't it just a land by the sea or a town by the sea? It's a kingdom, and she has high-born kinsmen. So that kind of makes me think that she could be a princess, or she could be somebody who's connected to the royal family in this kingdom. She has some status. They bore her away from him, so they took her away and shut her up in a sepulcher in this kingdom by the sea. So a sepulcher is basically a tomb or somewhere where you bury people. So she did die. I wasn't sure if she died later in the poem. She just got sick here, and now she is buried in the kingdom by the sea. And I think the phrase to shut her up in a sepulcher is really icky.
The angels not half so happy in heaven went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee.
Oh, the angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night. So here he's repeating the story again, basically, but is being a lot more explicit about it. The angels, not half so happy in heaven. What is he talking about? He means they weren't half as happy as he and Annabelle Lee were. And because of that, they went envying her. So again, we get the sense of coveting. Coveting is you want what somebody else has. You're envious. And he says, yes, that was the reason. It's almost, because he's repeating this, I almost wonder if he's trying to make sense of it himself. And he's like, yes, that was the reason. As all men know in this kingdom by the sea. Although he's telling us this story from the future, so he's probably already figured it out. But maybe he wants to really drive that point home. Like, all men know in this kingdom by the sea that is why the wind came out and killed Annabelle.
But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee.
Ooh, interesting. Our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who are older than we. So maybe they were like looked down upon a little bit because of their age. I was a child and she was a child. But there was something so pure and deep about their love that it was stronger than the love of people older than them and wiser than them. And then this line, I think this is an allusion to a Bible verse. So I talk about allusion before when we go through The Archer, and I'll link that above. But allusion is a literary device that refers to hinting at a sort of a bigger literary text within your own writings. So if you're writing something and you're referencing a work that is probably more broadly known, that's typically what you'll get with an allusion. So here where Poe says, neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee, I would think that he is alluding to Romans 8:38 in the Bible that says, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers can separate us from the love of God. Very, very similar writing there. And people who were reading this at the time would have absolutely been able to connect those dots. And instead of separating, he says dissever, which means the same thing, but is just a creepier way of saying it. Okay.
For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride in her sepulchre there by the sea.
Okay. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams. I love that kind of rhyme scheme. That's a beautiful way of saying he dreams about her every single night. He doesn't say I dream about her every night. He says the moon never beams. It never sheds its light. So there's not a night that goes by without him dreaming of her. That's a beautiful way of saying that. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And then he says, so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride in her sepulchre there by the sea. So either he's going and laying with her at night in her tomb, or he died and now he's resting there forever. Let's finish the poem to see if we find out.
In her tomb by the sounding sea.
Okay, so that's where that poem ends. Wow. He's committed. This is another example of hyperbole in this poem. The moon never beams without bringing me dreams. The stars never rise. The stars, well, first of all, they don't rise. They're always there. But in this context, the stars are still there, right? They're still rising. And so all the nighttime throughout every night, is he really doing that every night? I don't know, but it could be getting into the realm of hyperbole. So one more thing we can talk about with this poem is the rhyme scheme. So what is a rhyme scheme? How do we know what scheme it is? Whenever you're reading a poem, you assign a letter to each different sound, and that's how you build out the rhyme scheme. So whatever your first ending sound is becomes A. So you write that down next to your line. So it was many and many a year ago, A. In a kingdom by the sea. That's a different sound, so we give it the next letter, B. That a maiden there lived, whom you may know. That rhymes with ago, so we give that one an A. By the name of Annabelle Lee. That rhymes with C, so it gets a B. Does that make sense? So in that way, if you're ever wondering, or your teacher asks you, or you're trying to figure out how to create your own poem rhyme scheme, you can kind of diagram it out like that and see what other poets have done and what you can do yourself. All right, well, that was Annabelle Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. Fun fact about this poem, is it a fun fact? Well, fact about this poem is that it was actually published 2 days after he died in 1849, so a little bit extra sad. But anyway, thanks for taking a look at it with me today for spooky season. If you have other poems that you'd want to look at together, let me know below. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care.